Hey guys, it's Stephanie at Allen Acres, and today I wanted to talk to y'all about keeping my kids entertained. Hi, my name is Stephanie. I am a mom of 7 and I homeschool. We live on a small 5-acre homestead in a tiny Texas town where we pick farm fresh eggs, milk our goats, and make as much food from scratch as we can. We love spending lots of time outside, learning new ways to live a healthy life, and enjoying all the good things God has given us. Here I'll share about parenting, homeschooling, homesteading, family favorite recipes, and testimonies of God's faithfulness. If you enjoy a tight-knit family, real life moments, and the pursuit of a joy-filled life, you're in the right place. I hope you'll join me on my journey to a happy, healthy home life. First, I want to say I'm so sorry I did not post a video last week. I was busy going to a 3-day homeschool conference. Most mamas, I'm sure, know that leaving your family for any length of time, but especially overnight, is a big task. And so I spent my week getting my family ready for me to leave, and then I was gone. And so there was no spare time left. And so a video was just not in the cards. So I'm so sorry about that, but I'm glad to be back this week. I know that this topic about entertainment with our kids can be so controversial and honestly can make us feel very judged or less than, or like we're just always not getting something right. I know I have felt like that many times. So, as I've said previously, when sharing any kind of parenting advice, please don't take this as as an expert advice or anything like that. Just sharing about what we do in our family and what we feel like works best. So, obviously, there's different ways to entertain our kids. There's toys, there's games, there's video games, there's screens of all kinds. There's iPads and phones and tablets and obviously televisions and computers. And again, it can be really overwhelming. And ultimately, you have to decide what's best for your family. I'll tell you that when I first became a mom, I was anti screens, no screens. I didn't want any screens. But as time went on, that obviously changed. But it's always been something I've tried to be mindful of, and something that I try to use, less often. As my kids have gotten older, of course, that's become more of a struggle because we live in a technological world and keeping them away from screens all the time is just quite honestly not realistic. And so just trying to find what the happy medium is. That being said, I also don't love to have an abundance of toys. It overwhelms me, it makes me feel claustrophobic. And I'm sure that this is true for any size family, but especially having so many children, having so many toys accordingly just can be very consuming. It's more stuff to pick up, it's more stuff to organize, it's more stuff for them to get out and make a mess with. And so several years ago, I just kind of made the goal for us to just really be thoughtful about the kind of toys we buy, to be really mindful of what we keep and what we don't, and just trying to have a little bit less of that consumer mentality, which can be difficult in the culture that we live in. So I just wanted to share a few tips about like what entertainment looks like in our house and how we manage to try to keep things pretty simple and streamlined. I want to say that I know families who do things much more strict than we do, and I know families who are a lot more lenient than we are. So, again, this is just what works for our family. Let's talk about screens first. Like I said, I have like a love hate relationship with screens. At times, they can be very helpful, but at other times, they are something that I really dislike because they can be a distraction for so many reasons. I think they can distract our kids from being creative and from employing their minds to do something exciting and fun and adventurous. So there's something that I try to use sparingly. But I'm going to be honest. There are seasons of life, like the first trimester of pregnancy, or the first 2 weeks after I've had a baby, or really rainy days, or things like that. I may tend to lean a little bit more on the television than I normally would. Um, and so we don't have any like hard and fast rules necessarily in our house, but a general rule, not during one of those seasons that I just named, the general rule for our family is we try not to have the TV out during the week. So our TV actually does not have a permanent fixture in our living room. We take it in and out when we want to, when we keep it put away. And we really find that this helps. That saying out of sight, out of mind really helps. If our TV is not out, our kids ask for it way less. Then when they don't ask me, I don't have to struggle with the answer. Do I want to say yes? Do I want to say no? So generally speaking, we try to keep it put up Monday through Thursday, and then we usually will get it out on Fridays for family fun night to maybe watch a movie, and we'll usually keep it out for the weekend, but again, try to put it up. Again, we're not hard and fast on this. Sometimes we wake up Monday and we forgot to put the TV up, but this is just our general rule. None of our children own any tablets or iPad or device things. We have one phone that we call the family phone that we got for our kids to share, mostly our older girls, like when they would go on babysitting jobs or be home alone, things like that. Our little kids like to use it to text pictures and things to their grandparents or their cousins. But again, it's very restricted. There's no internet access without our permission. They don't have apps to be able to look at things that we wouldn't want them to look at. And so it's very restricted. We also don't have computers for them to have in their rooms or anything like that. The only television we have is the one that we take in and out of our living room. We have one laptop computer. Our kids have to ask permission to use it, even our older girls. We keep a strict watch on the search of things that are going. Again, not because we don't trust our kids. We just know that the enemy is out to steal, kill, and destroy. And we just always want to make sure we're holding our kids accountable and protecting them because while technology is an amazing thing that we're very grateful for, it is also something that can destroy people's lives. And we don't take that lightly in our house. And so our one computer is used for a lot of different things, sometimes entertainment, not as much. And so if anybody in our house wants to use it, they have to get permission. And generally speaking, it's used in a public area. Sometimes we'll let our older girls take it into their bedroom, but again, they share a room. So it's not like they're in their room alone doing it very often. That's a pretty rare occasion. Again, with the phone situation, I know most kids that are teenagers have cell phones. Our daughter that graduated and is now, going into adulthood, we allowed her to get a cell phone after she graduated, that she has, freedom to do with as she pleases. But our daughter that is still in high school does not. She is not allowed to have a phone for her free, use. Again, we just feel like it's one way that we can protect her. I'm certainly not against devices or tablets or iPads or things. Maybe sometime in the future we would allow our kids to get them. I've thought about, allowing my kids in the future as they get older and become really avid readers that maybe they would get a Kindle or something for when we travel, or maybe having a family iPad to help allow kids to do educational activities on it when I'm doing school with other people to maybe help out with that. So I'm certainly not against it. It's just not anything we've ever needed. And when the opportunity has come up, I just didn't feel like it was right for us. So I try to keep most of our educational learning type things geared away from screens, especially for my younger kids. I just feel like that is important to me. Okay, let's talk about toys. So I think toys are really great. I am grateful for them, and we have them, but we don't have tons of them. So if you were to think about the average amount of toys that most kids have these days, for one kid, imagine having that many toys times 7, or even just for us, because only 5 of our kids are young, times 5, and it would be crazy. As time has gone on, we've just tried to be more mindful of what we get. I know some people can be pretty ruthless with oh, my kids got this as a gift, but I don't like it, I'm getting rid of it. I personally have a really hard time with that. If I know my in-laws or my mom or my siblings or, whatever have taken the money and the time to buy my kids a gift, I just don't have the heart to just get rid of it because I think they won't play with it. I usually will keep it for a while. And I think one of the ways to help minimize on toys that you don't think your kids will play with or that you don't want in your home is to keep a list. So we don't really buy our kids gifts or toys outside of birthdays and Christmas. We just don't. We keep it pretty simple that way, and it makes Christmas and their birthdays really, really special. So what I try to do is, as the year goes on, if I see a child become very interested in something, I keep like a note section on my phone with each kid's name. And when I notice this child has become really interested, and I'm not talking about like, oh, they got really excited over it at the store. Like, I mean, really interested in it over a period of time, or has asked about it multiple times, like repeatedly, I'll make a list, or I'll keep it on a list in my phone and I'll take note of it. And if when that child's birthday comes up or Christmas time comes up and that child is still interested in those things, I will keep that on the list. And then when grandparents or family members ask about gifts for their birthdays or Christmas, I will refer to the list. And then I really feel like I know that they're getting them something that I know they'll actually really like or really play with. And I know it feels good to give a child a gift that you know they're going to love. Um, and in doing so, we try to steer clear of too many like actual toys in the house. So a lot of times my boys will ask for like outside things like binoculars or a BB gun or a pocket knife or gardening tools or things like that. My daughter is really the only one who asks for like the same kinds of like inside toys every year. She's also really the only one that plays with them, so that really helps. So, as far as toys go, I'm going to show y'all, but we have a shelf in our dining room where we keep most of our toys, and it's pretty simple. Most of our toys are like open ended, so they're not like character based. I'm not opposed to that. Like both of my little boys that are now 5 and 3 have gone through major Paw Patrol phases where they loved Paw Patrol and they got Paw Patrol toys for their birthdays. And I'm certainly not opposed to that if they're like really into it, and they play with them for however long they play with them. And then we either keep them if they keep playing with them. And if they stop playing with them for a period of time, we will, pass them on to somebody that we know would enjoy them. But most of our toys are pretty open ended, things that everybody likes to play with and that are, kind of require some imagination and creativity. So this is our shelf. And as you can see, it is nice and full. Up at the top, we have big Duplo Legos and an overflowing bin of train tracks. Here we have a little people manger scene set, a few baby toys. Then we have sticky blocks, which are a favorite, and a bunch of toy animals. Then we have wooden blocks, vehicles, these little Beanie Baby toys that I played with when I was little. They're like some of my kids' favorite things to play with. And then a little pet carrier for them to use to play with, which they also love. Then we have some action figures, and sometimes there's like a toy gun in there with those guys, and an overflowing bin of play food. Then you'll see that brown box, it's full of regular Legos. And then you'll see we also have lots of books, which are a huge form of entertainment for our family as well. The only thing outside of this that we have that is not pictured is we have a box of Magna-Tiles that is so huge. I still haven't figured out how to organize them or put them somewhere. So we just kind of lug them around in this giant box whenever the kids want to play with them. I'll usually rotate them out. I don't keep them out all the time. I'll bring them out for a couple months and I'll put them up. And then when I bring them back out, it's like so exciting. And then we have a box of dress up clothes that I keep in their closet. And then my daughter has toys in her room. She's actually the only one that has toys in her room because my boys don't really play in their room. And then we have a couple of shelves in our living room that have like baby toys for our like toddler to play with. Um, but that's really it. Like we don't have an abundance of toys, and I really find that it helps keep down the amount of toys that are on the floor and that get brought out. Also, having them on the shelf is kind of like the TV. It's like they're out of sight, out of mind. I have to ask to get them out, and only one of them is actually tall enough to reach all the shelves. And so, it makes it really nice because I have a little bit more control over like, okay, you already got something out. You need to clean it up before you get out something else, which of course I'm not always perfect at doing, but that's the goal. We do have a few like puzzles, and we have a whole cabinet of board games that I keep up high that we'll play for family fun night or at other times. And my kids have access at all times to several drawers of craft stuff. So we have an abundance of paper, stickers, different markers and pencils and fun scissors. We have paint stuff, and they know, generally speaking, they're pretty much allowed to do that at any time, and they do actually. And I really like to encourage that because that's, creativity to me. So they're not really toys, but it is something that does keep them entertained. I have two kids that actually really like to paint, and so they'll paint often. I also keep like boxes of note cards and things for them to make birthday cards for people or to write thank you cards to people who have sent them things, most especially my older girls. And so, again, just trying to keep that kind of creativity going. Lastly, but certainly not least, I wanted to talk about outside. So, outside is definitely my favorite form of entertainment. Ready?
Oh, come on.
I noticed early on when I first became a mom that my oldest biological child loved being outside. If he was grumpy, we went outside. If he was tired, we would go outside. If he was teething, we would go outside. And it just seemed like the cure all. Like, if there was a problem, just taking him outside just seemed to fix everything. And so he was very accustomed to going on walks or runs back when I actually tried to work out. And my husband would take him on runs. We took him to the golf course. We took him everywhere. And it just kind of created, I guess, like a little culture in our home that like outside is a great place to be. The home we lived in before we lived here, we didn't live on land. We lived in the city, but we had a great backyard with a deck. We had amazing neighbors, and we lived on a cul-de-sac. It just, again, really kind of cultivated this culture of outside. We would have family dodgeball games in the backyard. Or family football games. We would ride bikes and roller skate, and our neighborhood was like amazing. And so we would, go for long bike rides and walks together, and like all the time, every day. And so that really, helped. And then that was actually a lot of the reason we wanted to move to the country. We just wanted them to be able to run and be free and play. And the more I looked into homeschooling, I realized that this was going to be a really integral part of our homeschooling. Charlotte Mason has a quote that I love. I actually have a shirt that says it, and it says, "Never be within doors when you can rightly be without." And I just love that because after reading some of her writing about children and the power of outside time and outside play, especially when they're young, it just really intrigued me and really made me think about like how we were created. And I just don't believe we were created to be inside all the time. I believe we were created to be outside. We are part of creation. And so when we're outside in creation, it brings alive a part of us that we can't even really explain. And it just feels good. Now, all that being said, I live in the deep, deep heart of Southeast Texas. It is so hot. Like my mom joked when we moved here that we live in the armpit of Texas, but the reality is that where we moved from isn't really any cooler. It's just hot. And so right now is a really tough time to want to go outside. So we have to get really creative, like taking advantage of opportunities to go swimming at friends' houses or visiting pools that are inexpensive or free to get into, and sometimes just sitting outside and letting our kids play with the water hose. We also tend to play outside more in the earlier morning and in the evening when it's this hot. Midday playing is just really rare. It's tough, and we do definitely a lot more like all day playing outside when it's cooler. and not so sweltering. Charlotte Mason says that a child that is like elementary age should spend 6 hours a day outside, which you might think sounds excessive, but it really is so amazing. And I really feel like when I started doing that with my kids, and again, it's not like a hard and fast rule, but some days they spend more than 6 hours a day outside. And then there's seasons when we obviously don't, like right now when it's this hot. When I started implementing that and just really trying to get my kids outside even more and making that an important part of our day, I just really feel like I saw a difference in them. They became more creative, they became more excited to be outside. It became a part of like their identity. We just love doing things outside together as a family. And so I feel like that helps too. We don't have tons of toys and we don't allow, unlimited amounts of screen time. And so sometimes outside is your best option. In fact, I have one child that I joke would live outside and sleep outside if I let him. And sometimes making him come inside at like rest time when I require them to all like have a break or whatever, he acts like it's a punishment because he would rather be outside working or doing something. I love that. We have like scrap wood and spare nails and hammers and stuff. They'll go out and like build things, or just makeshift things. When the weather is cool, it is not rare for me to find them with their wagon packed like hobos and they're like playing, UPS man, or they're playing RV or whatever, and they'll just play outside in what they call the woods for hours. And I just love it. I just love it. I feel like that is what childhood is made of. Those are the memories that you should have. I have memories like that as a kid, and I didn't even live in the country. We just spent a lot of time outside, and I want my kids to have those memories. I don't want to stifle them from being technologically minded because that is like the era that they're growing up in. But I also don't want them to lose the preciousness of a true, innocent childhood. And I feel like in order to have a solid childhood, you have to play outside and you have to have time to be bored and make up games with your friends or with your siblings. And so that is what we aim for at our house. It's not perfect. And if I'm really honest with you and not, I want to be transparent, we've been in a season where we have leaned more on screens than we normally do. And I really don't like it, but I just choose to give myself grace. And I know that the season is very short and it's coming to an end soon. And we'll put that TV away a lot more like we normally do. And we'll get back to a more, healthy rhythm. This isn't about like, making you feel guilty or bad. And it's not about making myself feel guilty or bad. Just, what is the goal for us? What's the goal for our family? And I just find that we make some of the sweetest memories outside when we're together as a family.
I like
How about you go with water lower and probably won't break? Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you digging?
Archie, did you eat a bug? Ew! Gross! You put a bug in your mouth? What?
Finding a way how to keep
I hope that this video was encouraging to you. I hope that it gave you maybe some tips or ideas about how you could entertain your kids with a little less work on your part and a little bit more ease. And I hope it inspired you to get outside with your kids sometimes and make memories. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please like this video and hit that subscribe button. My goal is to get out a video every Thursday on all things related to a happy, healthy home life.